Okay, greetings class. INT1109, this is Professor Daniel Schmeling, and we're doing Lesson 1 case problems. Now in this case problem, it's going to ask you to do the same downloading of the data files that you did in the assignment. So if you've already downloaded those files, you can skip all the way down to the double-click case folder and open all the specified files. So just to confirm, you've downloaded these files in the lesson project. You've put them in a folder where you know. So I did mine in assignment 1, right? Access 1. It's asking you to do case study 2. Okay, just to confirm, you can see here it's asking case study 2. So now what we need to do is we need to open our case study 2 from the Cengage. So we go back to the home page. We simply click on the book, and our book opens up in another tab, and I have it over here, but I'll go ahead and do that so you know where to get to it. So as it's opening, remember that if nothing shows up, you can press the home key to populate items. We're going to go to access. We're going to go to tutorial 1, and if we don't come up to case study 2, we click on the chapter, we go down to case study 2, and we start case study 2. All right, so our first step is to create a new blank database, name O'Brien, and save it in a folder where you're storing the other files. So we're going to just save it in that same one. So we're going to go ahead and open it up. Blank database, file, save as. We're going to name it O'Brien. And I'm going to save it in that same folder here. Our next step is in the datasheet view, we're going to create a table. So here's the O'Brien. I'm going to enable content. I'm going to create a table. All right, table 1 is created. All right, it says in datasheet view. We're in datasheet view. It wants us to make a key, primary key tutorial ID, and change the type to short text. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just simply rename the field to tutor ID. We're going to go to design view. We're going to change this to short text, and that is the primary key. When we switch back and forth our views, we have to save it. On step 3 now, we're going to add 5 fields to the table. And here are those 5 fields. All of them will be short text except for hire date. So I'm going to add short text. I just simply right click and add. Try to make it the same without the spaces. Spaces aren't very good in any type of computer programming. And this seems like the hire date is a date time field. So we're just going to right click. I need to make it bigger because I'm not clicking the right way. Date time field, and that's hire date. All those fields. And remember, if we want to confirm, we can go to design view to confirm that we have the right fields, the right data types. Go ahead, I need to rename that table as tutor, so I have to close it, then I can rename it. Step 4 is to enter these records into the table. I'm going to go ahead and enter the first one so you see how, and then you will do the rest. So I'll pause the video while I enter the rest. Simply just click and type in there. It says to enter my name, not student first name. So we also need to click this plus to get all the view of everything, right? So I was missing that hire date. So for the hire date, remember it's the date, we can just click here. or we can simply type it in. So to make this bigger, I've entered the first record. I'm going to save my database as I go along. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to enter the rest of the information, and so you do the same. Enter all that data. What you can do, what you should always do, is go to field width. So I right-click field width and I apply best fit. So that name fits and it's not covered over. You can click and drag, but the best fit is the best option to do that. We're going to go on to the next step. The next step should be to open up the database called consulting. You're going to copy the information from that database, and paste it into this database. So the consulting database is in your assignment 1 or wherever you save these data files. Remember, we're doing case 2. We're going to open up the consulting database, enable the content. We're going to copy this. So when we copy the data, we're not just going to copy a field. We're going to copy all the records information. So make sure that you just click and drag when you get that arrow, right? So I'm going to do it again. Right click, I'm going to copy. I'm going to open up my database. I'm going to right click, paste. It asks me to confirm. I click yes. Okay, so the next step here is step 6, resize the columns. Like I've been telling you, should always do that. That's a best practice there, to just field width, best fit, and go through that. Field width, best fit. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. I don't like the way that looks. Maybe that'll give me a better best fit. Okay. We're going to go on to the next step. So we've resized it and we've saved it. We're going to close the table and then reopen it from the navigation pane. And then we're going to look at this primary ID and see if it's displaying in primary key order. Okay. So close the database. There's a little X over here, not the database, the table. This is the navigation pane right here, right? So if I was to minimize that, you'd see the words navigation pane. We're going to reopen it and it should display in the primary key order, right? 19, 27, 31, etc., etc. Now we're going to create a form using the form from the tutor table, and save the form as tutor info. So you'll notice that in your book that if you highlight something, you could use highlighter and stuff. So sometimes it's hard to copy. Remember, Control C also copies. I'm going to create a form. Okay. We are going to name that. We'll save the form as tutor info. Okay. It didn't give me any options because the only thing the form can do is be created off this table. If there was queries and other items, you'd have to select what you're going to create the form off of. But in this case, there was no other option, so it has created the form. Okay, our next step is to use the report tool to create a report, and then in layout, you change the layout. All 6 fields should fit within the page, so we're going to shrink it down. And on the bottom where it says page 1 of 1, we're going to move that to the left and then display the report and print previews. We're going to go ahead and create a form. I'm just going to use the create a form wizard here. So it's created the form, or correction, the report. I'm going to go to layout view, so view layout. I'm going to maneuver around so that this report is a little bit cleaner. It wants us to resize the first name and last name so it's just slightly longer than the record. I think that's a degree as well. like we need to get it a little bit more so it's on the same page. That's the page break there, right? So I've just resized it. It looks like you can see all the fields. We can probably shrink this down a little bit more as well. And then it wants us to move this page one of one over to the left, right? So we just click that, drag it over to the left. Okay, let's make sure we've done all the steps for that. It wants us to view it in print preview, right? So we're going to go to print preview. Well, it looks like we've gotten all that into one page, right? Go back to our table. So now we need to save that report as, I believe, tutor list. You do not need to print the report, so if it says to print the report, do not worry about printing the report. So here's our report. We're going to close it. It's going to ask us to save it. Call it tutor list. Okay. There's our report. Close the tutor table. Compact the O'Brien database and close the database. We're going to close the tables. Simply close everything up here. File, compact and repair. Now we're going to save as. We're going to make sure it's our O'Brien database. And that's the end of the case 2 tutorial 1. Great job.